Hello, 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 and welcome to Weaving the Web.
Hello, everybody. The sound is a little different today. I don't know why, but nearly can't hear you, Joanne.
I don't know, my sound settings are the same.
We're going to make it work. Today we're going to talk about altars. One of my favorite topics. How about you, Joanne?
I like the altar topic because I think it's something that's very personal to people, and it's and people always have questions. They feel that it's you have to do it. If you're in a coven and you are working a practice with a group of people, they might have a structured altar. But for personal altars, I mean, there's various different types, obviously. I have several different types of altars. I have an ocean altar. I have my Ganesha altar. I have, my Egyptian stuff. And then I have my practicing altars, ancestor altar. You name it, I have altars galore. But altar doesn't have to be perceived as a like a tedious thing. Altars can be very simple as long as you have, some key pieces. And I mean, I'm a fan of the altar on the go, especially because I'm out in nature a lot. And I always bring things with me. And, is it a traditional altar with a table or anything like that? No, I usually bring a deck of my favorite cards, some stones or carvings, and different elements that I want to add to it. I could be blessing some type of oil with it, or, have all these different things in the mix, and I don't really, it's not conducive to carry a table. I just do it right where I'm at. And we do have some pictures and stuff of some of the things that we do.
Yeah.
And it's simple. It doesn't have to be hard. Again, like when you're doing a magical working, back in the time, I don't think they were worried about, I need a special table and, a special stone. I'm sure our ancestors worked with what they had.
Yeah.
Again, aesthetics are nice, but your practice is not necessarily an aesthetic. You have your structured practice that you do with your group, and then you have your personal practice, and your altar can be a reflection of that.
So that's and again, if you look on the internet, it's always some kind of a pretty decorated altar, and it doesn't need to be. It's always the perfect setup. And if you look at I'm not going to show, but if you look at my working altar, it's a mess because it's a working altar.
Yeah,
there's ashes all over the place. There's notebooks. There's my big book. There's working in the middle of being done. It's a mess.
Yeah. You have stuff that's charging up. You have different things. The incense, like you said, the incense stuff alone. And it's all different pieces, and that's your working altar. It's never going to be perfect because obviously you're using it, your honorary altars, like I have one, which is my ocean altar, where I, everything is devoted to ocean deities or things associated with the ocean, because that's one of the big things I work with. My nature altars are always portable. And how it works for me is if I'm getting ready to go on a trip, my things let me know what wants to go,
Yeah.
Things call out to me. I've had decks literally, like I'll pick a deck and then another deck just keeps falling out of the basket. And that's a message to me that that deck wants to be part of this. So I either bring it to, or I just bring it solo, whatever the case may be. Same thing. I usually have one of my friends with me that calls out and says, I want to go. Some don't want to go at all, Some just like to be left alone. You know, I have a few that don't like to travel at all. And then I have one that just wants to travel with me everywhere. And he's about this big. And
Yeah.
he is I think, what did I say? Neon blue appetite skull. He's very tiny, but he's very loud. And all he says is, I'm the traveler. I want to travel. I'm the traveler. I want to travel. So he just stays in my travel bag.
Yeah.
Doesn't want anything.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have I always bring 4 crystals. I always bring water. I always bring some salt. I have my a crystal skull too. That's always a little notebook and a pen. And yeah, then some Dex is going to call for me, or it's going to be another crystal skull, or it's going to be, I don't know, some freaking thing. So I have to have a big bag, but I always in my purse have a little bag. So welcome to the show. It's going to be fun today.
Yes.
And the cards of the day, I used True Heart Intuitive Tarot deck. And I got 9 of Cups. But instead of the normal ones, for me in this here, she's standing in the doorway. And you have the cups up here. So it's not like they don't own her. She can choose to take one or not. But she's on her way to something new. A new start, a new beginning. And I love that about today's topic.
Well, you're going to love my little thing here. And, which is funny because during the week I was telling everybody I was trying to suppress the urge to, buy a deck. And I am here with the Bob Ross Oracle. It's a weird reason why I wanted it, not so much because, well, everybody loves Bob Ross, but my dog, Ember Rose, will only go to sleep listening to Bob Ross. I have to put the channel on or she'll be dysregulated. The channel's on now, which is why she's quiet. It has to be on for her to go to sleep. So in tribute to her, I had to pick this up. And I really love the cards with this right now because they're just, again, this is a perfect example of simplicity, right? And what card came up but the blank canvas, right? And when you're creating an altar, it is a blank canvas. However, like Bob Ross used to do, what would he do? He'd take a canvas and he'd put a base on it, right? He'd put either the white or the black, and that was the base, right? So that's the base of your idea. You start with an idea and you build from there. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. You just start with the basics. You start with that one idea on that canvas and you build your painting or your altar from there. And so your altar is like a blank canvas. Don't think of it as a structured thing unless, like I said, you know, if you're in a coven, sometimes you have to set up your altar a certain way. Yeah. And that's fine. We're saying that that's not a thing. But for you yourself, or if you're not in a coven, or you can't have a visible altar in your home, there's many, many different ways that you can have the same effect, as long as you have the elements that are needed. You know, my mentor, Mark, used to use he'd always have a tea light or a match in his car. There's your fire, a bottle of water, a salt packet. Yeah. You know, from like a restaurant, and, you know, air freshener for the car, for air. You know, there's hundreds of different ways, or a little spray perfume or whatever it is to get that, you know, element of air going on. So there's lots of different ways that you can make these different altars. You can make them for a singular thing. You can make them for all kinds of things, my mother, we were Catholic, and we always had, the candle lit, and, different things, those are types of altars. So there's no right or wrong way. You're going for what is going to fit your needs and what you want from that altar, And I really liked that blank canvas is what popped up for the first card. I thought it was very fitting.
Like you said, it doesn't need to be fancy. Sometimes it's just you in the woods or you in the beach.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is your fire. You have the water. You have everything out in nature. It doesn't need to be extravagant. It doesn't need to be fancy. And I know, you and I, we have a lot of stuff, but we've been doing this for many years. So it's easy for us to be like simple, because it's nice to have a lot of things, but you don't need them.
Yeah, it's not necessary. Like I said, spirituality is not an aesthetic. Is it nice to have all the things? Absolutely, sorry, again, I had computer issues tonight, so my phone is, the stand I'm using is weird. I'm trying to get a full picture in there, and now it tilts like I can't. So, simplicity is the key. And, I know Sgrid has some pictures of things. Maybe you can pull up one of the earth ones I had out in the woods.
Yeah.
To show you like how simple. When I say basic, I mean basic, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to be toting around. I mean, you can if you want, but a whole...
Yeah, well, you can do anything. I like this one. Just sitting, have a cup of coffee, and do your magic. Mm-hmm. I love that. That it doesn't need to be a fancy setup. It could be. Where's the other picture? I was thinking about the one with the wood.
Oh yeah.
As simple as that.
And when and the river is usually facing. They're usually facing the river or whatever I'm focusing on at that moment. Or that first one was at a lake. There's a mountain lake in front, and I just laid the stuff out and set it out there to absorb that energy and channel that energy that I am bringing into myself. And it also cleanses, the best cleansing is nature, the ground,
Yeah.
I can't wait to take Bob on a trip.
Yeah. And I love this picture you sent too, because it's like, it doesn't need to be big, huge. It can be you going in a forest, on the beach, or anywhere, and there's something pulling in you.
Yeah.
Go with the pull. And then you're gonna find a peaceful spot that's gonna be your spot. It can be up against a tree. It can be a lot of stuff. It can be you walking on the beach, finding a stone and holding it in your hand.
Hello, Shundi. We're talking about altars tonight. So if you have any input, please put it in the comments.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have any altars, we'd like to hear about them. How do you work them? Because both Joanne and I have a lot of different kinds of altars. And the way we do it is not the ultimate truth. It's just how we do it. And there's thousands of different ways you can do it. And I know there's some people that the altar need to be in a specific corner. Is it the moon? And for some it's the sun. For some it needs to be pointing west or south or something. But for me,
Well, again,
It needs to be in the right place.
that would be in your
How
formal
I
working
feel.
altar. That would be like your formal working altar, though. You know what I mean? Where you have to position north, south, east, west. If you're calling watchtowers in or anything like that, you have to have those elements set up appropriately. But for just on the go or personal, like a morning meditation altar, really all you need is a candle, some incense, and if you pull a card, for your day, a seashell, whatever. It doesn't have to be ostentatious, especially if you have an issue where you're in a place where you're still kind of in the closet about your practices, or you can't. I always have things at work. I'll have like I said, I'll have a bag of rocks in my bag or whatever, or a crystal that I hold or jewelry that I wear. But it's simple is best. It doesn't have to be complicated.
We have this one, a working altar.
Yep.
It doesn't need to be fancy, but for me, and that's because I work with you, and for me, it's in the middle of the night, and I like to work with the moon. So for me, my working altar is setting out so I can see the moon rising.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more important for me to have than having a specific corner or I don't know. For me, the energy where I put my altar it's more important than how it looks.
Or a sunstone candle holder, or and you can also have, like, when I'm out in nature, it's really funny because whatever energy I tend to be working with, I find elements right where I'm at that coincide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With what I'm working on, like I'll find sticks that are shaped like different runes, like, or that just pop up, or I'll find another rock in nature, because where I live, we have a lot of, cool minerals that are just natural to the area. Or I'll find, some type of flower or leaves, or, different things that I can use to incorporate into what I'm doing. And it doesn't have to, like I said, it doesn't have to be ostentatious. You just want to make sure that you have earth, air, fire, water, spirit, is how I look at it. If you have your fundamentals covered, however way you cover them, you don't have to have, all these, like I said, aesthetics are nice. And if you are able to show those things, that's even better. But if you can't, it doesn't mean that you can't have your altar still. You could have it. Nobody even has to know what it is. It could be a tea light holder, a cool stone, a bottle of water or perfume or incense, or, whatever.
And if you don't want people to see it, you can have it in a drawer in your nightstand. It doesn't need to be out in public if you don't want it to be.
Yeah. It can be as personal or as open as you want it to be. Some of my altars are out in the open, but people don't know that that's what it is. Like my, like my Ganesha altar, they just everything is Ganesha, and or Buddha on there, and people just think it's decoration, so and I know a lot of people are in households where there's combined belief systems, and like I said, it can be as simple as a tea light.
Yeah. Everybody can see my dragon altars. Everybody can see my ancestral altar. Everybody can see my skulls. But my working altar is closed off. And I don't mind when people come and they go to my ancestral altar. Oh, who is that? Why do you have that? Because it keeps the memory and the love alive. And for me, as long as I remember them, they're going to be here and they're going to help me. I actually think, didn't we have a picture of your own ancestral altar? No?
No, I don't think I sent my ancestor one.
No, but I think I sent mine, but now I can't find it. But there's all kind of types. No, I have pictures, I have things, I have my husband's dad, him and Martin would drink. In Denmark, when a beer comes out, they have a label for the year.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a special that year beer
Yeah.
from the label they normally use. So we have one on the altar from the year he died.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, what's that? Now we're going to tell you a fun story about the connection between Martin and his dad. I have a picture up at my dad sitting like this. And everybody's like, what is that? That's my dad. And it's going to keep them alive in our house. So I like people to see and ask about that altar.
Yeah. Kevin Willerson says, I don't know about altars, but as a druid, I create a druid's grove when I need to, which works similar to an altar. I spend a lot of time in the woods and public places, so I need a way to do my business without leaving a physical trace. So I've developed a way that creates the space and energy I need without leaving a trace. I was even there for the physical eye. Yeah, I don't generally leave a trace either, Kevin. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
To the physical eye or whatever. So, yeah, I don't leave a trace either. My stuff I always take back with me.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Maybe I've been making a little druid's grove and I didn't even know it. Because basically, like I said, I don't know if you were here in the beginning, I take like little things and whether it be a deck I use, some stones, a working whatever, and I bring it with me and I just sit it out there up against a tree or in a spot. And then I take it with me when I leave because like you, I don't like to leave a trace of what's there.
Yeah.
Unless I'm camping and I can, then burn something in the campfire. But most of the time I'm just doing day trips. So I'm in the woods a lot. And I found that that's the best, thing that works for me. Some of my crystals I'll put right in the river, and have them sit there and let the water wash over them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
same.
I don't leave.
I'm a lot at the ocean. For me, the ocean is the best way for me to cleanse with the idea of the wave and the salt water and stuff like that. And nobody can see. That day, this year was my altar. Nobody can see it. Nobody can see I was doing magical work that day.
Yeah.
It was just a normal person walking at the beach, touching the water. Nobody's going to know. Well, if they know, they know. But the normal people out there that don't do magic, they're not going to know.
Yeah.
For them, it's just normal.
Most average people aren't paying attention, because in that one area, the first picture you showed with the iced coffee, I mean, there was people there, not a lot, but people would come through the trail or whatever, and nobody really paid mind to it, because it just looks like you have stuff sitting there or whatever. But deep in the woods, I find it's more about the connection that I'm making with the energy that I'm working with there, which is to ground myself, to clear out the negative energy, to, that's basically my reset. you know,
Yeah.
and the, you know, the altar or the grove that I make, I like that name, the Druids Grove. That's kind of cool. Is, I learned something new. But I like that idea, you know, because you're
I think
connecting
someone,
with
and I
it.
don't know who it was talking about asking what's the difference between altar and shrines.
A shrine is, well, you know, I guess you could call it a shrine, but I don't know because a shrine is like something I look at like the shrine of the Lady of Lords or whatever, you know, the Virgin Mary, the shrine where you go there and you venerate and you pray and all that, which is true, which is very similar to what an altar is for us. It might just be vernacular to some people, like you say tomato, I say tomato. But a
Yeah.
shrine is more you're honoring that one particular thing and that one particular thing alone. An altar you do many things with, you know?
Yeah, for me, I think I would use the same phrases or explanation as you. But if I had like an altar for only Freya, where I only pray to her, I don't work with her, but I only pray to her.
Yeah.
For me, that would be a shrine.
Yeah. It's kind of a space where you go to contemplate and focus your energy on that one particular energy. You know, because you know, like I said, we have Our Lady of Lords, you know, where the Virgin Mary showed herself, or, you know, the Divine Mother, and you go and you know, you honor those things. And it's the same. Like if you go to, I believe there's some places in the UK where you can go and honor different, it's like shrines almost. What is it? I forget the name of it now because I've had a kind of a migraine today, but, you know, where the well is, the sacred well, and people go there. That's like a shrine, you know, and they go there and they pray and they do their things and they leave things. So it's very similar. I think the altar is just more diverse in what it's used for, because you can use it to venerate and you can use it to work and to ask for things. You know, it's kind of a multi-purpose type of thing. I would say my Ganesha altar is more of a shrine because I'm doing things and putting things there just for him. You know?
Yeah.
Like anything I put there is going to be related to him. You know, so yeah, you could also probably call it a shrine. I never really looked at it that way. When I think shrine, I always think, and that's the psychologist aspect of my thinking, I think of like, you know, I built a shrine to this person, you know, like kind of like the serial killer vibe.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it that way. That's a good way to think of it. You know, if somebody asks you, what are you doing? Oh, this is my shrine to, you know, Ganesha or Kali or the Virgin Mary, you know, because I do have a space set for the Divine Mother. And that was a good book by Levi Rowland, too, if nobody read it, Mother.
Yeah, that was a good question because I haven't thought about that either.
Yeah.
For me, it's just always been altar.
Yeah. Hello, Ellie Bell. Merry meet to you, too. I get the ocean thing. Sometimes when I need a sacred place, I go to the lake shore instead of the woods. But I spend most of my time, I go into the woods. Yeah, Kevin, I understand. I do the ocean as well. But where I live in, you know, rural New Hampshire, and I'm in the mountains. So I tend to be in the woods a lot more, only because of distance wise. When I lived on the Cape, I was at the ocean more.
Yeah.
So definitely go according to your place as well. Again, we're back to you work with where you are and what is natural to your area and your spirits of place.
Exactly.
You know?
And I'm lucky. I have like 5 minutes to a forest and I have like 25 minutes to the beach. So
yeah. Altar is more of a personal workspace in most cases. Yeah. I agree, Rosemary. I agree with that statement. Yeah, thank you. That says it perfectly. I think it's more of a personal thing. Whereas a shrine, you know, if someone comes in and they're seeing my, like I said, if they're seeing my Ganesha, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? They don't know. I could just really like Ganesha, or, I could be doing a working with it. But yes, I like that analogy, Rosemary. It's more personal to what works for you and what you align with. And you also, like I said, like we were just starting to say, spirits of place. You work with the spirits of the land and the area that you're in. Sgrid has more ocean around her because she's on Denmark. Right now I have more mountain around me, so I tend to work more with earth and the rivers.
We don't have any mountains.
Yeah. So, and then we collaborate our work, like if I'm working with her, I might throw some of my energy of spirits of place from where I am and combine it with hers. And we generally make things work, we customize it and tailor it to our needs or whatever we're doing, I might not have access to salt water, but she does. But I might have access to an herb or a tree that she doesn't. And that's what I do, or river water, you know what I mean? So it all depends.
Yeah. And like we used to say, like we like to say, you do you. If your altar only needs blue candles, it's fine. If that's what's right for you, it's not. At least for me, it doesn't need to be a white candle. It doesn't need to be a certain incense. It doesn't need to be special water. It's nice if you can find some sacred water. It doesn't need to be pretty to look at.
Ellie Bell says, I love my personal altar. Then I have my kitchen. That's also my altar. Exactly. Yes, I agree. The kitchen is definitely a huge altar because I love to cook. And, and that is my probably biggest expression of love to people is when I cook a meal. That is my gift. And that is and I love putting my energy into that, Yeah. I can't see what it says on stage because it's so small for me. Can you see what it says, Sgrid?
A shrine is a dedicated space to honor a deity, spirit, or ancestor. So my ancestor altar would actually be a shrine.
Yeah, but then again, like she said, it's not as personal as like your working altar. Like, back to what Rosemary said, if somebody sees it, it's no big deal, But will I ever show my working altar? Absolutely not.
No.
And that's
never ever. And I know because I see that at least in Denmark a lot on the witchy pages. Oh, look at this also. Look at this work. And I see it on Instagram, TikTok especially. Everybody showing their work. I don't mind setting up something and be like, oh, you can do it like this. You can do it like this. You can do it like this. But I'm not ever gonna show online anywhere the place I work because it's inside my circle where I'm open. I don't have any protections from the guards I work with. I'm open for when Joanne and I, when you and I do the work, we are open because we have the protected circle around us. But if I put that on the internet, it's going to be a direct link into my circle. Yeah. So every time I'm like, don't share your working altar because it's a direct link into where they can hurt you the most.
Mm-hmm.
I know some always have, don't show pictures of yourself. Don't show your eyes. But for me, you can put a little watermark. You can do so much on the internet today.
That's why I'm always
where you can protect yourself.
Hamza's, emoji, they have like the Hamza and the evil eye emojis, some symbols like that. Always put a little bit of protection on your stuff. And I wear a lot of protection, but you definitely want to protect your working altar. That is something that is only privy to you and whoever you work directly with it.
Yeah.
And that can be as elaborate, like mine is like I said, it's not going to be like perfect because I work it and stuff moves and I add stuff, or I have stuff that's consecrating or being, just soaking up altar energy on there before I work with it or use it for whatever I'm using it for. So I don't really show that stuff. So you should always keep it personal. I do agree with that.
And then I'm pretty lucky. I'm pretty lucky that I'm gonna take a picture of one of the furnitures I have that I can use, but I don't use as a working altar. Come on. Because there's different ways to do it, but for me, this furniture, the good thing is that I can close it up. So this part here you can put down and has like it's like a table. And when you are working it, and if you're going to have guests over, I can close it up because there's room inside for my working stuff. And I have 2 of those.
Yeah.
Where I can do the work. But this year's not the also where I do my work. So for me that's fine to show. But it could be a draw.
Yeah. I like what Ellie Bell is saying. I don't show my personal altar at all. I have an area in my living room that I burn incense and have crystals on, but that's not my personal altar. And that's right. Yeah. That, I have stuff everywhere. Like I said, my Ganesha altar is in my living room. And, does it matter if people see it? No. Do I use it at times? Sometimes, but it's more of a space just to honor them, or a shrine, or whatever you want to call it. And, you got to go with, I don't want to say common sense, but what makes sense. You know what I mean? It's a personal space. It's where you're doing that deep, you're connecting to the God, the goddess, whatever you want to call it, creator, Mother Mary, what Santa Muerte, whatever you're connecting to, that is your personal connection with the deity, and it's personal. That's where you bear your soul. It's kind of like the therapist, client relationship, where you come and you bare your soul, and that therapist isn't gonna like, rat you out, or, you're free, you're safe, so your altar is your safe space for that connection with the divine, whatever that divine thing might be for you, and that's how I've always worked it,
Yeah. And for me, and I don't mind if people, some of my crystal skulls, they can touch. I don't give a damn. They are badass. They can protect themselves. But other things, I don't want people to, this too. I think that's a part of life. You have some you think you are your friends. And all of a sudden they turn your back, or they stab you in the back. You don't want that energy around your working altar. And I'm sorry to say, but today I thought maybe I had like 10 friends, and it turns out there was 2 I could trust. I don't know how many, but it's at least not as many as you thought.
No. I think we were joking about this last night. I'm like, my friend circle is like starting to turn into almost like a triangle.
Yeah.
Because I've just had to cull so many people, and it's heartbreaking in a way, but I want people who are, the investment is mutual, Kevin Weirenson said, we're Sema. I'm sorry if I'm massacring your name, Kevin. That's what I love about my mobile Druids Grove. I get a lot of people hiking and biking past, but to them, I'm just sitting there enjoying the view and the ambiance. They have no idea I'm working in those moments. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm doing. Maybe I missed my calling as a Druid, but that's exactly, it's just me vibing with whatever I'm doing out there. and bringing my energies and my deities that I'm working with along with me to share the experience.
Yeah.
My forest oracle deck, I always take that in, to the forest with me. But there's times, where, like I said, other decks will things will let you know that want to go, I find, or that want to be a part of the process.
Yeah.
It's like an innate knowing. Like I'll just randomly just think of a piece or an item, and I'm like, oh, I need to bring that with me, or even whether it's jewelry or something. I've consecrated many a piece of jewelry in the river. All these different things. Go with whatever your intuitive. Again, you're also strengthening your intuitive self. What does your intuitive self tell you to bring? You got to think about it logically. I'm going into the woods. I'm not going to go in there with, a folding table and, unless you're camping in the woods. But, I'm not going to have all these things. I'm going to go in with the basics, what I need. Think about the basics.
Yeah. And for me, the most important thing, I always bring something to give back. If I do a working in the forest, normally I will throw a crystal back someplace in the forest, and I know someone is going to find it that needs it.
Tiger says, I know Christian people that will not ask others to pray for them. I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am not that way. Because I know some pagans. I don't want a Christian praying for me. I don't mind it. Prayers are good. It's a connection to the divine, whatever that divine means to you. And if it's a good prayer, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm not biased on prayer. Am I going to show them my altar? I guess they are concerned about bad intentions. I don't know that a prayer is a bad intention. I always thought of a prayer as, an intercession to the divine on our behalf. That's how I've always looked at it.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe why would you pray for something bad for somebody? That wouldn't be like a prayer. I don't know.
But maybe they don't pray like for bad stuff. But like we talked about earlier, in one of our other shows, the wording, how do you word it?
Absolutely, yeah.
And if you word it like, oh, bring me some money, and you don't are more specific. Oh, okay, I'm gonna let your mom and dad and siblings die, so you're the only one that's gonna get all the money. But that's not the way you wanted it.
Yeah.
You maybe wanted to win the lottery or get a better job, but it wasn't what you said. So,
yeah, I think the wording is a lot of it. But again, it's intent. Anything, because what is a spell or a prayer? It is an intention that you're giving to the divine that you want help with, right? And again, it's about your intent. So if I'm praying for somebody's healing,
But let's say you're mad at one of your friends. Let's call him Tim. You're mad at Tim today, but he wanted a prayer, and you love him in your heart, but today you're mad at him. So what is the energy you're going to put in that prayer? Is that the love, or is that today I'm mad, I'm hurt, I'm something else? So I don't know, because I'm not Christian. I don't know, and I don't know these people, but I think it's interesting that Christians don't want prayers from others. Because I would like prayers from, I don't care what your religion is.
Yeah. I like to cover all the bases.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're a Christian and you have a special connection to your God and Jesus or whatever, then that connection is going to help you pray to me. I don't give a damn who's going to help as long as I get the help I need.
And again, too, it's about the intention behind it. I don't know. When we go to the God and the goddess, we've all, I don't think anybody skipped their way to spirituality. We go to spirituality, whatever it may be, because we've reached a point where it's beyond us, right? And we're like,
Yeah.
And you just surrender, right? You're surrendering to the God and goddess. You're surrendering that burden. You're surrendering. You're like, I can't take this anymore. I just need to give it to something else, right? So, that's how I look at it. I'm giving that, and it's like, I really want my friend to feel better. I really want, however way that works, I've never seen it as a bad thing. My Christian friends are always like, light a candle for me or do whatever you do, and I'll be like, can I put you on my healing altar or my Reiki group? And they're like, oh, absolutely. Most people are fairly open-minded, but there are some, I guess, like Tiger says that, nope. You have Christians that don't like, they call it idolatry. Like they won't wear a cross or, a saint or religious symbolism because they say it's idolatry or whatever. So, again, that's more structured rules. I guess that it would be like a coven rule,
Yeah.
But my friend,
because I'm pretty sure this year is not just a Christian things. It's happening all over. It's not just a Christian being a certain way, because witches, Wicca, Nordic, no matter what your belief is, you're gonna find people that are totally opposite of yourself.
Gatekeepers are everywhere right now. It's not even funny, but my mentor, Mark, did make a valid point. When you go into these sacred spaces, because when you're praying, you go into a church or wherever you go, your shrine, your altar, you are entering a sacred space and you don't want to carry bad energy in there. So I try to not go into my circle with anger or hatred or whatever. You know what I mean? I try to keep it a little bit structured, I guess. Merry meet Aries. Intent is key, Kevin says. It's not enough to focus your energies and invoke a deity or entity. You have to have clear intent. Absolutely. You have to build that relationship. It's not a vending machine, where, hey, I need this, that's not how it works at all. Tiger says, excellent points. Thank you. Intent is key. Specific intent versus general. Also, emotional state. Yep, exactly what I was just saying. My mentor, Mark Lyons, says you don't want to go into circle in a, negative state of mind. You don't want to bring that energy in there, unless you want to surrender that energy. But again, I'm a Christian. IMO, a Christian may not want non-Christians praying for them. There is a difference. I don't know, but I don't know. I still pray for them anyway. They don't have to know. I pray for everybody, I'm like, whatever. Or, I wish everybody well, unless you're going to hurt me, that's different, But
when I do a prayer for someone that let's say you're my friend, you're not of my belief, and you got sick, I would pray for you, but with I'm gonna pray and I'm gonna send healing to Joanne for this and this and this when she's ready to receive it. Because I'm not gonna force my energy on you. I'm not gonna force my belief in you, on you. And I think it's fine if some Christians are like, well, for me, you pray to Freya, you pray to Thor, I don't know. For me, that's devil worship. Because I know some Christians have that. And that's fine with me. Then they're not going to receive my love from my gods. Because for them, it's not love.
I don't know. Most of my friends that are Christian don't really say much about it. They'll be like, oh, say a prayer for me or send me good energy. And they're happy about it. because I do have kind of a diverse, well, I do have a very diverse platform, and I love that everybody gets along and learns from each other, because like I said, it's about weaving the threads of connection, because basically whether you look at, Christianity, whether you look at Wicca, whether you look at whatever, it is all you are connecting to what you consider to be the divine energy.
Yeah.
And however you connect.
But like, I have a sister and she's radical. You know this.
Well, there's radicals everywhere, though.
She would be so mad if I sent Freya. Yeah, but if I sent Freya to give her healing or support, she would be so mad at me.
I mean, the radicals. Hello, have you looked at our community lately?
Yeah. Thank you, Harold.
That sums it up, because that's how I feel when I'm like, what are you even spewing out? And it's like, I find it paradoxical. I'm trying to look for the connections we all have, and spirituality is a thing. Everybody has a spiritual, even atheism is a spiritual practice in the belief of nothing. So, whether you're looking at a rock, or whether you're surrendering to the God, the goddess, to Jesus, whoever it is for you, it's how you make that. It's how you make that connection. And like Kevin said, the intent behind it.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you make, let's say you make a money bowl, you put in all the right stuff, you say the right words, but if your belief in your heart is, I'm not worthy of a lot of money, or I wish this would come to me someday, it's not going to work.
No. Rosemary, it is who each person turns to as their divine deity. Some don't see both the feminine side and the masculine side. The thing is, most still believe there is a higher power. We don't have to put a name on it. Actually, you're absolutely right, Rosemary, because in Jewish mysticism, there is no name for it. He has many names, and she says, in my opinion, LOL, just so you know. Oh, okay, that's what IMO means. I didn't know if that was a certain thing. Thank you for clarifying.
You and I, we have different beliefs. Mm-hmm. But we still come together and we still work together. Like we talked about last time, the moon water. Your moon is feminine, my moon is masculine. Okay, so we do a feminine and a masculine moon water the same night, but we use it for different things, because we find a way where we can be inclusive.
And again, this is not about, we're not talking about covens and coven practices or spiritual or religious denominations. If you're a Baptist, you're going to practice like a Baptist. If you're a Catholic, you're going to practice like a Catholic. If you're a Corellian, you're going to do your Corellian. If you're Black Forest Clan, you're going to follow that. If you're Alexandrian, you're going to follow that. That's for your coven. We're talking strictly personal practice.
Yeah.
Because as humans, we're multifaceted and we're eclectic, and we do different things, and I study different things. I'm always forever learning. I'm still in school, for frig's sake. So, I mean, constantly learning and that's how I've learned that the threads among us, these webs that we're more connected than we are not. And we need to stop focusing on what we don't do and focus on what we all do right collectively, because there's more of that. We all want the same things. We all want to be able to put food on the table. We want good health. We want a good mindset. We want to feel good in our bodies. We want love. We want human connection. These are the things. I'm not going to look for things that alienate me. That just doesn't work in my world.
No, and for me, if you start looking at what's difference between you and I, you're already starting to set up barriers and having a negative mindset, and that's not going to work if you want to work together.
I don't know.
And I see a lot of that on the internet, that is the difference between the beliefs that makes the more crazy you can be about some other people instead of loving them, the more negative, the more views you get. And I think that's crazy.
Yeah. Aries says, I'm going to go back and watch this from the beginning on the replay. Absolutely. Our icon, you know what I'm trying to say. Our archive is not going to go away this time. We fixed that.
Yeah.
Kevin says, I call myself a druid, but I don't pray to the deity. When I need to work, I reach internally for the connection and power, not externally. Everybody is different and we all have different triggers for our work. Absolutely. That is your personal practice. I might not do it that way. I kind of do, but I mean, someone else might not, and that's okay. Maybe some people need that external aspect. But again, whether, it's again, what you have inside is what manifests outside. Yeah. And that's true for psychology, for magic, for witchcraft, for Christianity. What you have in your heart, spirit, operates from the heart.
Yeah. And let's be real. We are all made of the same dust.
And it's what your intention is and what works for you. And depending where you live, where you're from, how you learned, you're all going to know a different way to do it. I don't do it the same exact way Sgrid does. Some things we do very much alike, or we learned from each other. Hey, that's a good way to do that. Like I learned some great things from Kevin tonight, and Tiger and Rosemary, and all these different things you learn. You know, the thing with me is when people are different, I've always been curious. You know, I want to know. Yeah. You know, wow, that sounds really interesting. I want to know about it. Does it mean I'm any less of a practitioner in what I practice? No. You know, did it make me any less of a solitary of the silver broom at the time? No. But it added to my knowledge, and it made me see that we all as human beings want that connection. We need those connections, and it gives us hope. It gives us a place to channel that energy and to receive that energy. And when you work in a coven or a group, you're collectively building that energy, which makes it even better. You know, and even the Bible says if somebody if two people agree, it goes up. And what do you think you're doing when you're in it's a bunch of us agreeing on an outcome, on a working, on a whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's about coming together.
And never being too old to learn new things.
Mm-hmm. I never down anybody for their beliefs because, you know, I started off I'm a recovering Catholic. But, you know, and people are like, you know, like, oh, you went to, like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I went to my friend's church. Like, you go to church? I'm like, well, yeah, I didn't burst into flame or anything, but, you know, I don't mind going and listening I like the book of Matthew and I like the book of Isaiah and I like the book of Psalms, you know, because to me, those are the real teachings. Well, the Psalms are the magic, but if you look at the book of Matthew, it tells you how to, you know, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are, you know, the meek, do unto others, love your neighbor. Those are all concepts I can get behind. Yeah. I do not like organized anything, really.
And for me, religion is not about what somebody says it needs to be. It's what feels right inside of you. And we can't argue feelings. We can't argue taste because what I like may not be to your liking. And I'm not going to say what you feel is wrong.
And for the most part, and other people can correct me, through studying, I have learned that it's basically the same message. Be a good human, do good things, have a heart, be kind, love the earth. It's just in a different, you know, wording or, you know, package. The message is the same, and yet nobody in these things follows it. I see many Christians doing unchristian like things, being non-tolerant, being, and I see it in the witchcraft community too. I see it in the spiritual communities, gatekeeping. Jesus used to be with the sinners. If you're going down that route, that's where he hung out, right? He wasn't, with the rabbis.
And the gatekeeping thing, I don't like it, because I remember when I took a year and a day with Michael Corral, and some of his teaching, I was like, oh, that's so fun, because there's a world apart from Denmark to America. And still, some of the things he taught me was like, oh, my grandmother used to teach me the same thing, but instead of that herb, she would use that herb. But the way we worked was so similar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are we arguing so much?
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. We enjoy these chats too, which is why we do this, because we're taking a different approach than, I'm not going to jam my belief system down your throat. Am I going to do I want to know about yours and Druidism? Absolutely. You should probably be a guest on our show. But, we'd love to know more about that. And we find the similarities, and it's like, wow, like when I was talking, with my friend, son Jack, I was like, it's so weird. I said, it's very similar to Strega. The work is different, but it's there are a lot of similarities, within the practice, of different folk traditions. I can't get into these wars of, folk magic, or, I'm an elder or whatever. Listen, there's no selective solidarity. We either got to come together as people and respect each other, because we're all children of the gods, the goddess, the divine one, whatever you want to call it, of the nothing, of the void, the universe.
Yeah, I remember, I think it's, 15 years ago, I was in a coven, and you had to be a mom or a grandmom to be an elder. And I'm like, so I'm never, ever, even if I'm 90, I'm never, ever going to be an elder.
Yeah. But see,
why?
That's that group's tradition. So I'm not going to go for that group. I'm either going to go where I'm going to find where things align. And because I was like, I'm not a coven person, Yeah.
Yeah, but I stopped that too, because you could be practicing for a month, but if you had granddaughters or grandsons, you would be an elder. And I'm like, for me, what can you teach me? What can I learn from you? How long have you been practicing? Or how often do you practice? Because you have been practicing for 15 years, but maybe do it once a year.
Well, that's why. And then I met Mark, and I found Solitaries of the Silver Broom. He was he was a Gardnerian, and he was in Black Forest Clan with Silver Ravenwolf. And we connected, and he's like, yeah, have you ever thought about, being, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm very anti. And then I met them, and they were basically what it was. We were all eclectic witches, meaning we all had our own personal practices. We were all solitaries in our own right. However, we came together as a group, and when we practiced Hellenistic, but we were open to different ideas. And this is how I learned, I guess, to be the way I am, as far as these topics, because we all learned from each other. We studied everything from angels, and people would come in, is that a statue of Jesus up there? And we're like, well, yeah, we don't believe it's not that we don't believe he existed. He was definitely an enlightened soul for sure.
Yeah.
Although some might not believe that he existed, but that was great. It didn't matter. But if you wanted to go there, when we did a ritual, it was always, with the Greek deities, which is where I built my relationship with Demeter. And I really started learning about building the relationship with the god and goddess. And that's where I learned a lot. That and Briesberg. She's like, I learned so much in depth with her,
Yeah.
Let's see. What can I learn from you versus jealousy of someone? Absolutely, Ellie. Yeah, exactly. It's what can I learn from you? What do I not know? Or, I've learned things from Sgrid that, I wouldn't have thought of. And maybe she has learned something from me. I've learned things from everybody that I have been in contact with,
Yeah.
and I generally, I don't have time to hate on people. I just don't. I want to heal people.
Yeah.
I do that, in my profession, and, that's just who I am.
Yeah. A wise person knows they don't know everything.
Mm-hmm. And I don't, and that's why I always have that strive to learn. I don't, I don't begrudge anybody their beliefs. I don't approach people with, hey, what's your religious alignment? What's your political view? Who do you sleep with? Are you a vegan? Or like, that's not how, are you a good person? Do our energies vibe? And I have friends, and most of the time you find out, I have a ton of friends that are vegans. I have, and we still vibe. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going to go eat a hamburger, but I mean, but I learned from them. I learned how to eat healthier. I learned how to different recipes. I look at it as a learning experience. And I don't know, that came from actually the corporate world many moons ago when my boss was, because I used to hate going to those customer service meetings, that they had, or seminars and all this stuff. And I'm like, God, why do I got to go through another one? It's like, it's mandatory. I said, I know, but geez, it's so boring. He's like, well, go in there with the attitude of learning one new thing, even if it's that the speaker wore 2 different colored socks. Learn one new thing. And that's how I approach everything in my life. Can I go into this and learn something new out of this?
Yeah.
And it usually makes it better. So your altar is symbolic of that. It can be as simple or as complex as you want it to be. It can be as simple as sitting in the woods like Kevin does with his things and just vibing with the mother, or it could be as complex as, a big, thing with all these, everything is positioned and you have your sunstone candle holder in the center and, whatever. It can be as elaborate or as simple as you like, but how many of us have been on a camping trip and something happens and you're like, oh, or you realize, oh, it's new moon, and, I'll take the citronella candle and I'll just sit there and meditate and look at the moon and bring out one of my crystals, because I'm always at least wearing my bracelets or my stacks. And I vibe and I get the energy that way. We're not the right. I have seen many say there's substitutions for things. Example, white candle can represent any color. What herbs are considered substitution herbs? I go with spirits of place because, again, Sgrid has some herbs. If you're working together with people, someone might have access to something that you don't. Like Sigrid's in Denmark. She has access to things that I can't.
Yeah.
And I have access to a lot of things that she doesn't have access to. So you can either combine it that way. Scott Cunningham's book on magical herbs has a great substitutions page. And you just look for the energy of the plant. You study the plant and its energy and its fire element. And that's what I liked about Scott Cunningham's book, is it tells you the element it's associated with, the horoscope sign, the moon. It tells you everything.
Yeah.
And I swear, but it's an oldie but a goodie, and you can always find a used copy really cheap on like Barnes and Noble or Amazon.
Yeah, and for me here, I can go buy white sage if I want to. But I can grow my gray or green sage here. And it's the same thing. It's just the Nordic version of it. We have a lot of things where you can, you use this. Well, I have this, and it's energy-wise the same thing. So what's native to you? What can you use? And if you want to use, let's say, white sage, lavender, I don't know, something else. Sit with it, talk with it, feel it, smell it. What feeling comes when you smell it? What words come to you? What pictures come to you? Whatever. Have a connection with that herb you want to use. And when you then go, let's say you go from, Joanne to Denmark, you're going to find an herb that has the same energy that you can use. But for me, have a connection with the spirit of the plant really helps find what you need to do.
And as for a travel altar, your elements, something that represents air, a lighter can be fire, right? You have a lighter, a match.
For me, when I'm in the forest and I sit up by a tree, I use the sun as fire.
Mm-hmm. I substitute on that level. Fire, air can be the little spray freshener. You have a little broom in your car or anything, sweep. Anything that represents air, water, we all have bottled water.
Yeah. And it doesn't need to be a fancy bottle. It could be, I went to the grocery store and find a bottle of water because I left mine behind.
Yeah.
I forgot mine at home.
Or the water at where you're at. Like I'm always by the river, so the water's there. Yeah. It can be any number of things. Earth, air, fire, water. Do we cover them all? Earth. Oh, earth. Salt is always earth. And then again,
but for me, if you sit outside and like you in the forest by the lake, you have the water in the lake, you have the earth in the ground, you have the fire in the sun, you have the air in the wind. So from me, I do, but I don't need to bring the stuff.
Yep. Kevin says witch hazel has good energy and it has some medicinal properties. Yes, I love witch hazel.
Yeah.
And then Shundi says birthday candles can also be used for spell work, especially when you're traveling. Exactly. Yeah. See, all these are great little ideas. And from seasoned practitioners, write them down. It doesn't have to be complicated. For an herb, your basic protection herbs, rosemary, thyme, spice cabinet. I've had to use stuff from my spice cabinet.
Yeah.
Our ancestors, when you think they were running around going, oh my God, I need to find, rue from the mountain of, the Himalayas. No, they used what was at hand, and, when in need, you do the deed. If I need to make that connection with the divine on the go, I make it work. Because it's about your intent. They're not sitting there going, oh my God, you missed a candle and it's not blue and in a sunstone candle holder. That's not.
And for me, the same. You go in the forest thinking about you need something to protect yourself. You need, I don't know, I need a stone for protection. I forgot mine at home.
Yeah.
You're going to find that nature's going to give you that stone. If you go on the beach, nature's going to give you what. It doesn't need to be something you buy that has been expensive. I know you have something with finding eyes in the woods. I have something about finding amber when I go to the beach. The nature is going to give us what we need if we open our eyes.
I know. I should have brought one of my eyes. Those are so cool. Yeah. I don't know if it's because there's a lot of logging that goes up here. I could go grab one. It's on my altar that's close to me. And they're pieces of actual tree and they look like eyes and I find them everywhere. But if I go to the beach, do you think I can find a piece of sea glass to save my life? Oh, my friend, look, I got all this sea glass at the beach. I'm like, but I find eyes in the woods.
Yeah.
Shundi,
nature's going to provide.
Lots of laughs. You're still stuck on that sunstone candle holder. That is way too funny. I love you so much. Thank you for putting a smile on my face. Yes, I will. That sunstone candle holder will forever be ripped upon because it was the stupidest thing. Here we are. You're advertising a simple ritual Because we did this last year for, what was it, Letha or no, it was for Beltane maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. But yeah, it was a simple spell.
And it advertised itself as a silver spell in the silver, easy spell, simple in this blog. And right out of the gate, I opened it up because we were, you know, trying to give examples. And there it was. The first thing, you are going to need a sunstone candle holder. Doesn't even say or candle holder or just a basic candle holder. You need a sunstone candle holder and a moonstone candle holder. And I'm like, first of all, these are not things that are, well, they are available, but not readily and not cheap. Those are can be two pretty pricey stones, especially when you're talking about a candle holder. And and then it went on, even with the ingredients that it was listing. And I went through and I went line by line and I rewrote it in what is actually simple. A candle, an herb that represents this. And I just totally gutted that thing. And I was like, how is this a simple thing?
Yeah.
And they wonder why people get discouraged.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you are still in the closet, you're not going to have crystal, no matter what kind of crystal, candle holder. But you're going to have candles.
Kevin's like, I designed my own tattoo that acts as a protection talisman. I love that. It's the oak, ash, and thorn. Ooh, I have a ring that's like that, the oak, ash, and thorn, from what's her face. I can't think of her name now. It's one of her collections. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
The oak, ash, and thorn. It was hoot. I can't think of her name. It's on the tip of my tongue. I might sporadically yell it out at some point in the broadcast, but yeah.
But see again, the cards for today: open doors and the blank canvas.
Yeah, the blank canvas. And for those of you that know me and know what I was going on and on about this week, I did get the Bob Ross Oracle, and it is actually really cool. And talk about simplicity, because the messages are simple, but they're very deep. And I like that, you know, and I got it because my dog likes to sleep to Bob Ross. She has to have it on every night. Yeah. So it was kind of in her honor. And, you know, and like anything else, the simple things, you know, what is it? A blank canvas is what he would start with.
Yeah.
Right. Bob Ross with his blank canvas. And what he did was, if you remember, he would always put a base color on there. It was he would start off with either a white base or, you know, a black or whatever blue, or, you know, remember all the colors he used to have, like all these weird colors, phthalo blue or whatever. And that was the idea. That was the start of the intent. And you build the canvas from there. You know, you start where you are with what you have and what you want to accomplish. And, you know, in my work practice, I tell a lot of people, I'm always like, small attainable goals equal big wins in the long run. You don't have to tackle all these things in one day. It's impossible, you know?
Yeah. And you can go to, what's it called in English? The store where people donate their things and you can buy them.
Yeah.
Find a glass or a cup that really talks to you. Take it home for your water.
You're going to know. If your intent is to find things for your personal altar or things that you can do on the go, if you set that intention, the universe, the spirit, the gods will answer you. You'll feel it. You'll know.
Yeah.
Like I said, my different things call out to me when I go out. I have some that just want to be out all the time. I have ones that don't want to be out at all. They're like, absolutely not. I'm staying on the shelf.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
And things doesn't need to be expensive or big or It just need to be you. I have some of my crystal skulls are like this. And I have one tiny one that like this, but the tiny one, wow, it has a lot of power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that little tiny one I told you about, that neon blue apatite one. He
Yeah.
is the loudest thing in the world. And he does not want to be on a shelf. All he wants to do is be with me in the car. I'm a traveler.
Yeah.
I'm a traveler. I want to travel. And that's all he says. So I call him I'm like, what is your name? He's like, I'm the traveler. I'm the traveler. So I call him the traveler, and I just gave up and I keep him in my bag.
Yeah.
And when I don't bring him along, I know it. He lets me know, it's weird, spirit, the connection you have with the divine is what you make it, and it's like building a relationship, like when you go to a therapist, you build that relationship. You don't go in there telling them everything, because you're like, do I connect with this person? Do they resonate? You're not going to go in there and be like, and open your, that's why you build that relationship through time and through, dedication and being consistent with your practice. Consistency is key,
Yeah.
Let's see, what is the comment? I love how the Enchanted Forest Tarot has the white heart and has the white heart and the trees, hawthorn, oak, and ash in the card. Yes, there's a lot of symbolism in different cards. Absolutely. Your deck is going to call out to you. Like I said, I have a Forest Oracle by Denise Lynn, and she's not usually somebody that I follow. I do use a lot of Rebecca Campbell stuff, but and Colette Baron Reed, but that deck connected with me for whatever reason, and the symbolism in there and just everything you find in the cards is so magical. You make those connections with those cards, and I'm also starting to look at the Kabbalistic aspect of the tarot with Temple of Miriam. They do classes where you go through, and we did one round already where you go in and you look at the Kabbalistic tree of life and how it relates to the tarot. And it's a whole different journey with the tarot if you do it that way, a lot more in depth. Like that would be a long reading, because you're looking at how, the tree of life spread is pretty big, but it's good to know. And it's another way of interpreting and looking at things. And am I going to read my cards Kabbalistically all the time? No. But if I'm working with somebody and a symbol sticks out that's related, I'm going to know. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
That's why people say nobody can ever take your knowledge away. And that's true. Your knowledge is what you know and what you've learned. Different groups describe things differently, Sgrid. Elders are considered one thing in one group and one way in another group, and you go where it fits,
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell them their way is wrong, whatever, I'm just not going to join that group, that's not for me.
The same. And for me, if you don't want to be in a group, that's fine too. If you want to work by yourself, read a lot of books. Normally, I would say don't use TikTok as your learning curve, but you can learn a lot of wrong ways to do things, or not wrong, but you know what I mean. They show you a spell, a simple spell. They're going to show you a candle. They're going to show you a bay leaf, and all of the sudden there are runes, there are crystals there. And they're not going to tell you what's the different things for. How do you work them, or how can you replace them?
Yeah. How do you dispose of them? That's another big one, especially in some traditions. The disposal is key. How you get rid of it. I'm learning how to scry with the mirror on the altar. Man, this shit that comes through. Yeah, scrying. Scrying is definitely intense. I look in my crystal balls, and I see all kinds of different worlds going on in there.
Yeah.
But I never really did a lot of scrying. I think, what was her name? Linda Toki was just got a new scrying bowl, and she was like, I can't wait to scry on new moon. And I'm like, and I don't know, a lot of people scry. I'd like to learn more about that at some point. Maybe we should find a scryer. Any scryers out there that want to come on and tell us about scrying? But there's lots of ways to make those connections. And, but do you need a scrying bowl on your altar? No, it works for Sid, and that's how she likes to make her connection. My connection is through, I like to look at the flames a lot.
Same.
Yeah. To me, the water is like a cleansing of emotion, and I listen to it and I picture it washing away and carrying away different emotions. That's how I use, for me, the water aspect. I listen to the river, sing sweet songs that rock my soul. I think the Grateful Dead said it best like that. I listen to nature a lot. I love going out in a storm to clear my mind, like a good storm where there's wind, like when a thunderstorm's about to come in and, you got the wind blowing, and I go out there and I just feel it clearing, especially if it's by the ocean. It clears my mind. I picture it just pushing away all those stagnant thoughts, there's all different ways.
I like to, and this here is because of the modern age. When I have to do a working, let's say it's equinox, and I sit outside by the fire.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch the first number that comes to mind. 3. Perfect. Before I start my work, I'm going to take 3 pictures of the fire. What animals are going to show? What am I going to see? What are the words that comes to me? All of this. But that's because I'm lucky enough to have my phone, so I can take these 3 or maybe 7 pictures. And I can have an idea that today I'm going to work with love and honor. And the only thing that comes through the fire are dragons, Viking ships, renewal, the death card, stuff like that. Oh, okay. So I'm not totally there where I can work with the love and honor, because something may still linger, and I'm going to work with that instead. But I like that we have the modern days, so I can use, and I'm not sitting with my phone the whole night, but 3 pictures or 7 pictures, the first number that comes to me, and I'm going to sit for 5 minutes, look at those, what comes to me.
Well, remember that picture you sent of the fire, and it had completely, you had completely, changed, remember? That was wild.
Yeah, and I have a picture. I did a working with my sister-in-law, and it's so clear. She's never worked with stuff like this before, but she's sitting in front of me, and we have the fire in between us, and it's the bowl is like this, so it's like a small bowl, but the phoenix, I couldn't see her for the phoenix. It was so crazy.
Yeah. Yep. You sent me that picture too. That was wide. It was definitely a phoenix. Like, you could see it, and it was amazing, and there's all different ways that you can make those connections with those energies. Fire is going to get rid of passions and things that no longer, I mean, I'm not saying passion as in love, but, things that you're passionate about that no longer serve, that aren't working, that are outdated, fire purifies. But it
and for me, the passion could also be like, if it can be good for you, but you spent too much time on it, or you need to find another way around. But I like my firework just as much as the same as my water work, but it's 2 different ways of working.
Excuse me, I gotta unlock the door for my kiddo.
Okay. But it's 2 different ways to work. For me, like Joanne said, the fire is cleansing and purifying, and the water is also, for me, at least if it's stormy, and there's a lot of ways, I use it for cleansing. But it's also going to help you find a path through things. And I love that.
Yeah, the water for me is huge. I am always by the river, always.
Yeah.
Definitely, or ocean. Water is a thing.
Yeah.
More so than fire for me, you know. I wonder if other people identify with one thing. I go places when I close my eyes and intentionally focus on feeling or a pull, and then I can sort of see where the call is coming from. In this way, I've worked places I've never actually been or seen, like the suicide forest in Japan, the Black Forest in Germany, the Forest of Dean in England, and a couple of other places. Yeah, that's cool. We do a lot of visualization, Sgrid and I, when we work. Yeah, I love that. I love taking that mental journey. I'm definitely, into that. And that is another thing, close your eyes and just, meditation doesn't have to be complex. That's a whole nother show. I can, and people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, all you need is 20 seconds to meditate. Yeah. And they're like, what do you mean? And I will. Like I did it during the pandemic. I started these 20-second of Zen videos. Yeah. And I'm like, all you need is 20 seconds to just reset your brain. And I would send them to people that, asked me for it. And they were like, wow, this really works. I'm like, yeah. Now I actually got it down to like 10 seconds. Yeah. Where you just sit there. And if you intentionally sit for that 10 seconds looking at something, you can feel it's like, wow, okay. That's, we overcomplicate things. Same thing with journaling, I'll be like, are you right? Like I'll talk to people and I'll be like, are you writing that down? Or are you keeping a journal? And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, listen, journaling isn't a complex thing. It's it can be one word. Like one day sometimes I wake up and I write in my journal book, FUCK, fuck, like whatever, it is what it is. And it's just a way to express yourself and notice patterns, notice what triggers things in you. It's a way to put it out there. I think somebody wrote a book years ago, maybe in the 80s or before that. It was called Write It Down, Make It Happen, where you write it down and you're setting it. And when you write things down, that action of writing connects it to your memory, you know?
Yeah, and, but like when we work with our altars or we do working stuff, you write the recipe down and it's going to be like a recipe. How was the moon or the sun? How was the weather in general? But where on the sky was the sun, was the moon? Was it cloudy? How was your mood? What herbs did you use? What incense did you use? Whatever. And then when you go back, if it didn't work, maybe because this and this, wow, that worked. I'm going to use the exact same thing next time. I write every kind of shit down. I also have a dream journal. All my shit is going to be written down.
When we did our year working of the Wheel of the Year, we would write all these things down, our experiences, what was going on. She had never done zodiac signs in her moon, like the moon in Taurus and this and that. She just did, she just honored the moon. So, she learned that aspect, and we would write all these different things that we learned down. And I mean, and when we work together, we combine things and we make it work, Yeah. She used to do all the meditations. I used to do all the, whatever aligned with that particular zodiac sign or whatever, and sometimes we just winged it and just did it. There's no right or wrong way.
No.
To spirituality. Traditions have their ways and how they do things, and that's fine. And if and all of us, like, take Christianity, for example. They go to church, they all pray and do everything the same way, but when they go home, it's, however it is at home. Some are stronger in it, some aren't. Some only go to church on holidays. We're all different, and that's okay.
And again, you don't need anything. Let's say you're going to a birthday party, a big, or a wedding, and there's someone there you're not going to like, and they have sat you at the same table. You're not going to find candles and stuff like that to set up an altar to protect yourself. You're just going to do it.
Not just that, there's a salt shaker right on the table that I can just...
Yeah, exactly. But you don't need. Sometimes you don't have time to set up everything.
Yeah. You know, protecting your spiritual self is huge and creating that energy field around you. So, you know, when you're making your altar or wanting to create your space, like I said, go with what resonates. You have that intent, all right? The intent is, I want to make an altar, a space, whatever you want to call a shrine. You have that intent. Now you're going to meditate on it, journey, like Kevin says, into your mind, or go to your sacred space and think about it, and it will come to you. And you're going to start incorporating all these different things that have meaning for you. Can I get ocean water? No, but I can get river water from different rivers running in different directions.
Yeah.
You know, or a muddy river, or a murky river, or a clear river, or a fast river. You know, so, you know, because, you know, the beach is only 2 hours away, but still, I don't have that time. You know, it's not as easily as accessible. Meanwhile, if I go out my door, there's a river right there. So, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
I want to share one of, it's not my real, but I've taken things from a real altar and put together the most important altar that I think everybody should have, and that's a self altar. We are always helping everybody else. We are always spending time with everybody else. We are always setting everybody else before ourselves.
Yeah.
So I actually have these two figures. Because for me, that could be me. Fat and playful. And it's not like, you know, the negative fat, but I'm not skinny. I'm not just bone. I'm me, and I love that I have meat on my body. I love that I can play and dance and have fun. And for me, those two figures are so much. Oh my God. And I use the real altar I have, or shrine I have, for myself. And it's, when I say it out like that, it sounds so, I don't know. But it keeps me remembering, if I burn my candle in both ends by helping other people's, I'm not going to be there I'm not going to be able to help myself. So, hey, Sgrid, turn a candle for yourself. Sit by your altar for like 5 minutes each day and remember to love yourself. I can't hear you.
Good night, Kevin. Thank you for coming. And maybe you can be a guest one day.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Rosemary likes the thought of the self-care altar, and Ellie Bell says, I really do love and enjoy all the many correspondences between things. The Black Forest in Germany, the Forest of Dean in England, and a couple of other places. Yes, thank you, Kevin, and please, thank you for joining us, especially while you're at work. And consider being a guest. We'd love to have you. And we're almost done anyway. Our shows are 2 hours. Usually on a typical show, when we have a guest, we do an hour of us, and then we have the guest that either participates through the whole thing, or you get an hour of that. So for anybody that's new, let's see, what does that say? Would love that. Good night and blessed be, Kevin.
Blessed be. Have a good night.
You know, and it's like, I love that. I love that we're connecting with so many different people and, you know, that have valuable input, you know. There's such a cacophony of magical people out there. spiritual people.
But I would, if I should hope people, if there's one thing I hope people take with them from this show, it's the self-care.
Yeah. An altar to honor yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah, just like yours. One good thing for yourself, one good thing for another, one good thing for your body, and one good thing for your soul, and one good thing for your mind. That's one of the things I hope people always take with them too. But the self-care altar, it made it different for me because I'm you're the same, Joanne. We forget ourselves because we want to help everybody else.
Yeah.
And with an altar like that, 5 minutes, 10 seconds.
And that's what it is. And, and maybe that's what those little shrines or what did he call them? Little, groves that I make in the woods. Maybe those are my honoring of the self. I don't know. But I do believe, because I work in a field where self-care is vital to my livelihood. I work with heavy things every day, and not heavy as in mentally heavy things. Okay. And, I need that outlet. I need that, mind, body, spirit practice. I need to incorporate it.
Yeah.
Angela Desjardins. Hi, my friend. I'm just joining and I have a question this week. Absolutely, Angela. Ask away. We love you and I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
But
and we always have time for questions.
Yes. Let's see. Oops. We'll give her a minute to answer. But tonight we've been talking about altars, so hopefully you can catch the replay.
Yeah. And we got the cards for I got 9 cups. But for me, she is leaning up against a doorway. Something new is coming.
And in tandem, I pulled up the black canvas. And yes, Angela, I did get the Bob Ross Oracle.
I think it's so awesome.
And I do love it. It's freaking really cool so far.
Yeah, if it wasn't so expensive to get things from America to Denmark, I would get it too. I need to find someone in Denmark that can buy them so I can buy them here.
It might be available through other outlets. I don't know. I just got it through Artisan Tarot because Temple of Miriam, we get a lot, they just have some really cool artists and create some really affordable decks, and I really like it. So it was cool. And they have like these things, the happy little deck and guidebook. I like it. I'm all about being happy. Not that I'm ignorant of what's going on in the world, but, I like to lead by example and, do my advocacy in my own way. My career is my advocacy. I work in a heavy career, like I said. And that's where most of my advocacy is. And my spirituality is my self-care.
Yeah.
It's, it's my self-care. Do I support everything behind it? Absolutely. But, I can't be on I have to, I guess, pick your battles. I don't know. And mine is at-risk youth. So, and, trauma. So that's what I do.
Change the world one heart at a time.
Small, attainable goals.
Yeah.
If I can help people, let's see what it says. Angela, my grandson is autistic and just started living with me. I believe the energy from the two of us is pulling other energy in my home. What are your thoughts? Absolutely. I would say, do you have access to a railroad? Railroad spikes, 4 of them, each corner of your yard, all the 4 corners. Iron is very protective. Do a protection circle or prayer or however you want to call it around your home.
Yeah.
Definitely things with iron, salt.
And if it's outside and you don't want to be salt, eggshells.
Mm-hmm. a cleansing using the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, water, meaning you go through with a candle, to remove any bad, passions or not romantic passions, but things that you're passionate about that no longer serve, like stagnant energy. Incense for air or sage or whatever you use to remove different intent, to clear that energy, mental energy. Salt, walk around with salt. That's the earth. I throw it in all my windowsills, and
Same.
I say, negativity out, prosperity in. And you can say it in your head. You don't have to walk around speaking it out loud. Salt in all your windows, and definitely visualizing protectiveness around your home, like a bubble visualization.
Yeah.
If you hit up me and Sgrid after, I'm sure we can come up with a suggestion that might work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, because I normally use a bubble, and then I think you're the same. We have the dragon flying around. And my dragon, at least my dragon, that's a fire dragon. And it's always around my house, protecting, or my house and garden, and protecting.
Things have gotten very active lately. I already do energy on my own. This energy is different. Okay. Is he able to wear any kind of jewelry, or anything with black tourmaline is going to shield? Because on the spectrum, and depending on how on the spectrum he is, I believe they're very connected to those other dimensions. That they have.
Oh, yeah, like Tiger said, Florida water in the mop bucket. Yeah.
Oh, yes, Florida water is also good.
I don't know what Joanne did. I hope she's going to be back. But yeah, otherwise, Angela, hook us up afterwards, the show, and we can talk about it. I hope Joanne's going to be back. But who knows? Her phone may have died.
No,
there you are.
My dog knocked it over and it went out of the screen. She came up to give me a
She wants to be on the show. No, it's because she hasn't gotten any Tritos.
But yes, Florida water is really good. Wearing tourmaline, black tourmaline is very shielding. If you can keep a chunk of it by your door, raw is good too. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Obsidian is also another good one. Hematite is very grounding. That'll keep him grounded.
Just a pinch of salt in his shoes.
Yeah.
And if he can't have that inside, then make a little path of salt and eggshells on the ground and let him walk over it.
Or around his bed.
Yeah.
But I think we can come up with a solution that'll help. But I would definitely start with that. Florida water is easy in the mop bucket. And definitely salt in the windowsills or any entrance. Or call Archangel Michael, visualize him in every window, doorway, and space, Yeah,
he's a badass.
Hopefully he didn't come home with anything, that followed him home, But I believe a lot of people on the spectrum are very in tune with that other side. And, not that they're portals, but they see things that we don't see, especially ones that are nonverbal.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's verbal or not, but yeah. Or, like I said, if Christianity, holy water, any type of holy water. Evil eye things. There's all kinds of things you can use for protection, which Sgrid and I can send you in a message to help you put something together for him. My grandmother used to make, she used to sew little packets with either prayers or herbs, and she would pin it on our clothes, in a place, I still have one that, she made for me for traveling. And I remember when I got pulled over, the cops thought it was a cocaine package. And I'm like, nope, it's my grandmother's prayer thing. He's like, oh, really? Is that what you're going to say? I was like, yep. He's like, so if I open it, I said, you're going to find dirt from the Holy Land and a prayer. And
Yeah.
he opened it and he's like, oh, it's dirt from the Holy Land and a prayer. I'm like, I told you. But we retaped it and I still have it. And I keep it with me in my wallet.
Yeah.
You know? Angela, he is nonverbal, but I feel like he's strong in energy. I can't explain. No need to explain. I completely understand what you mean. Yep, he's definitely, you know, in tune with that other side. That's what I'm getting intuitively is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Is he's very in touch with the other side. And I think a lot of times my view on the spectrum is these are people that have their feet in both dimensions, and some choose to stay in that other dimension mentally and are still here physically. So he's probably, you know, definitely intuitive and connecting with things. And if anybody has any suggestions for Angela, too bad the druid left. Please, you know, feel free to give her and Kevin, if you come back, you know, give us and hear this, the end of the show, maybe you have some suggestions for Angela as well.
Yeah.
Or Rosemary or anybody. Let's see, who else? Angela, he plays his laptop all the time, and his favorite song is I Can Read Your Mind. I don't know who sings it, but he plays this song all the time to me. So, yeah, interesting. Wow, he's probably got some telekinesis in things. Maybe he can read your mind.
Yeah.
That's a thing. You know, interesting that he plays that to you. Like he can feel your mind energy. That's how he communicates with you. That's probably why you guys get along so well.
But yeah, I have time after the show, and I think you have too, Joanne, so we can put our heads together and find out what we're gonna do, or give suggestions.
Yep. You know, and I'll ask my daughter too, since she has autism but is verbal. Mm-hmm. As you can hear in the background, the sound of the fog. No.
When I'm done, I do have to let you know something.
What?
When you're done, I do have to let you know something. I had to make a police report.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Not about me.
The plot thickens.
Can you talk about missing people even if you probably don't have anyone from Berlin on your phone?
Why, is somebody missing?
The homeless guy named Chris, I had to make a police report. I saw him. I was one of the last people to see him too, so I had to go to the police and tell them. He's a homeless guy. He's ginger. He always says this big check is coming, but it never, he is known for lying a little. He does have seizures, mental health issues, and is doing drugs. And even the other homeless people haven't seen him. So if there's anyone in Berlin, you've seen him roam around at night, definitely report it. Please do. I reported.
And so if anybody in the local area knows, what's he called?
I don't know his last name. His name is Chris, and he's one of the missing people right now. He's homeless.
Chris, he's homeless. He has reddish hair.
Red beard. And he's like a mid-sized. He's not like tiny, but he's not huge either. He's like mid-sized.
Yep. So any local people out there that might be listening, put your bias aside and keep a lookout if you know anything or have seen anything. He might just be away, or hopefully, just
we're hoping.
It's nice weather and he's traveling a little. Who knows?
Yeah.
We're going to hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's hope.
But we are on the last part of our show. Does anybody have any burning question or any input or anything at all for us before we go and close out? I mean, I thought this was a fabulous show. It was good to have the audience interaction back. I really felt good about that. Because that's what makes the show, I think, so different, is that, interactiveness.
Yeah.
With the chat.
Yeah, I like it too, because we get to know a lot of other people and how they do the work. And again, when people have questions, I like that we keep training ourselves
Yeah.
and remembering stuff when people have questions.
And we want to thank WCTV and Roku for doing our tech work and hosting us. And we are going to be back next week. We have started opening our list for guests. So if you're interested, please reach out to us, our messenger, or to Harold if you know him, or WCTV. And, thank you, Harold, for doing our tech work and picking that up. And Angela said, I wish I would have joined earlier. I fell asleep. The replay is going to be available, Angela. It's not going to be like before. So you're going to have access to the replay. And we'll make sure you get it. And, definitely next week. I don't know if we'll have anybody on yet or not. We just started opening up our scheduling book. And Sgrid is taking on the skeleton, the scheduling. So please reach out. Let us know. I'm trying
to.
Or let us know a topic that you're interested in, Fabulous show. Good night. Oh, thank you, Tiger. Thank you for always being there.
Remembering looking out for the opening doors.
And don't forget, a blank canvas. Blank canvas. Just start with the intent.
And thank you everybody for joining us. This year was amazing. I'm so glad we are back. Glad we are back. And I was like, also, can we really spend 2 hours? But yeah, you and I we probably could have spent more, but I think this year was great.
Yes, and we thank you, and we love it. And, thank you if you're watching online, on demand, live, however you're doing it. We love you. And I see some more comments. Good night, everybody. Good night, Sunday.